Okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host Miosha. And today we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 16, episode 19,
Mm-hmm.
which is the one before decision day, finally. But before we get into that, please make sure you are subscribed to our channel and give this video a thumbs up and make sure to comment your thoughts on last night's episode,
Yep.
episode 1. All right.
Well, you
Okay.
know what it is? They're dragging us by our baby hairs.
They really are. They really are. All right. So let's start with Nicole and Chris.
Yeah. So the only thing I have for them,
Mm-hmm.
we know that she doesn't want to be in limbo with the whole moving thing,
Yes.
but she doesn't want them to get too comfortable.
Yeah.
And I understand what she's saying. She's like, okay, I don't want you to love bomb me or be doing the most to get me. And then once we're married past decision day, then you get lazy. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to keep that same energy all the
Yeah.
way through, which I don't know. I think it's still pretty early for them, but
Mm.
hey, she felt like she needed to communicate it just to let him know if you're not going to continue this,
Let me know now. Let
so I
me
can go
know now
ahead and say
so
no,
I can
which
get
I
my
got you.
right. So I can get my life in order. So she had the chef come in, and honestly, the only thing that I really have on them is the whole creme brulee thing. If he would have won, she probably would have flipped that table because you know she's competitive.
I mean, girl, it's dessert.
Right.
I mean, okay, let me not be like that. I'm not as competitive of a person when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to relate. So mini golf, like hobby type of things. Maybe if it were a game, I would show a little bit more interest in being
Yeah.
competitive, but definitely not stuff like that.
Definitely not creme brulee.
No. He's like, all right, fine then. You won.
Okay. Because he knows. He's like, I see live footage of her acting up because she lost. So let me make sure I say that she won. Um,
Uh,
but that's all that I have on them besides like the outings later on.
Yeah, I will say he finally communicated that he wants until decision day to decide if they're going to stay together before they start making future plans. You remember, I think it was maybe a week or two ago where
Yeah.
you were like, oh, maybe there's a different reason. But I will say, I think he should have communicated that earlier and maybe she wouldn't have kept asking about it. I don't know. I
She
doubt it
probably
would have
would
kept.
have.
Yeah, she probably would have kept. Just like she kept asking
Do
about
you love
like,
me yet?
yeah, do
Yeah.
you think you're gonna say yes on decision day? Are you still a yes? Ooh, that would get on my nerves.
Okay, so next we have Jasmine and Airris. All right, so it starts out, I think, at the boxing gym with him and McKinley, who keeps showing back up. McKinley's like, I'm gonna be on this season. I don't know about Dominique, but I'm gonna be on this season.
I wonder if they're cutting him extra checks and that's why he's volunteering to show back up.
Well, I mean, he wasn't the one who was he the one who decided to call it quits? It's been so long.
I
No, it
think
was
she
her.
was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
her.
So I
So,
wonder if he got his full check and
mhm.
now this is a little icing on top.
Because remember, we did see Chris more than we saw Alyssa in that season. What's her name, Alyssa? Yeah, the good
Hmm.
person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How could we forget?
Okay, so what was funny was Eris when he was talking about him and Jasmine. He's like, "Well, we're not like Clint and Gina. We still sleep in the same bed." And it's like, okay, y'all are maybe an inch above them because y'all sleep in the same bed. But other than that, like, y'all aren't much different. So I hate it when people like compare couples, like, oh, we're doing better than them. All y'all gonna say no on decision day anyway. So what does it matter that you guys slept in the same bed?
Yeah, not much action has taken place. It's not the
Mhm.
worst. It's like comparing yourself to the worst of situations where there's been zero progress. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, we're not like Dom and Mac who broke
Right.
up.
Who left
Like,
in like the first week. That is so funny. So
yeah.
at First Sight has been doing this editing so crazy all season where they, I guess, build things up so that we think it's a certain narrative, but then it's not. So apparently when Mac slid into Gina's DMs, it was to ask her about a friend, which I think he was just trying to get his way in there. Honestly, I don't even think he cared about the friend. I think he was being slick so that he could say, oh, I didn't really slide in her DMs, but I kind of did. So I don't trust it.
Yeah, looking for any reason, and knowing what we know about Gina, that was the wrong way. I would say almost anyone. If you come to me asking about a different woman, why would I ever be like, oh, but I'm available too?
Right.
Oh, you came from my friend. No, stay interested in her.
Right. Exactly.
Uh, that's bizarre energy.
Oh man. Okay. Did you have anything else to say about their boxing sit down?
No, other than he's thirsty for Gina. I don't think she would be interested. If she thinks that Clint is immature and bizarre, I don't know what she would think of him and how he's been carrying himself. So, and I will say, seeing more of him on screen, not to, push aside what Dom did, I'm just seeing more and more, okay, yeah, they wouldn't have ever worked.
Oh
On
no,
both
they
sides.
definitely would not have. They wouldn't have. But she was kind of mean to him.
Yeah, she was. She was.
Was
She
definitely
was.
mean to him.
But what he's doing now does not help his
Yeah.
image. So
Okay. So yeah, he should have just like exited this season when he did and let that be it.
yeah, his image would have, I think, been more intact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So nothing new came from this sit down with Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, which I thought Dr. Pepper looked so hopeful. And
The way she was on the edge of her seat. Like,
yeah, the whole time I'm like, girl, I know that the producers or whoever has been giving y'all notes. Like, why are you looking so hopeful? But yeah.
well, you say that nothing else came out of it,
Okay.
but I don't know if they encouraged them to sit super close or what, but they seemed a lot more comfortable physically in this sit down. So for me, even though what was said, no progress was made
Yeah.
and there's not much change, but the body language,
Okay.
they went from being always very far apart. Even when they would just be standing and talking, Jasmine would usually have her hands or her arms crossed.
Yeah.
So I'm no body language expert, but I want to know what changed.
Well, she did say he's been speaking to her more. Like, sorry, even as I say it, it's just giving bare minimum. But she said that he's been speaking to her more and they're holding hands more. So,
Okay.
maybe he's texting her during the day. When he comes in from work, he's actually saying hello, not like what's up. So,
What up, bro?
right. like she's one of his friends, one of his little friends. Um, Pastor Cal said something that I don't think I agree with. So he said, you can't tell if your marriage is working until you've tried it outside of the experience.
We heard those sentiments a few times this
Yeah.
episode, which we'll get to later. But
I could maybe see that with Kirsten and Shaq, but I think it depends on the couple.
yeah, like Clint and Gina, it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on the couple. I think they're just setting up everyone to be encouraged to say yes and give it a try outside. But I don't know with them two if it makes sense.
I don't think it does. And I don't think the world of Airris or anything, but I don't think he's the worst character we've seen on this show. Like he's always been friendly with Jasmine, so I just don't think they're a good match. I don't think anybody thinks they're a good match, not even the experts who put them together. Honestly.
Well, aside from his character, I think we just want more for Jasmine. Like, yeah, he wasn't the worst, but we want her to be doted on and feel special and beautiful and catered to. And just all the things that hopefully will come with being a part of a relationship. And she's shown that she can give that. I mean, we've seen that energy initially and continued throughout the process, even when she was told that he wasn't as attracted to her. She's shown up in a very classy way, given the circumstances. So we just want more for her aside from him.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to do Clint and Gina next?
Let me see if I have anything else. They said that they rubbed off on each other. She makes him feel more calm in terms of his social anxiety.
I have more to say about them later in the group setting.
Okay. So the kayaking date. So I was thinking one thing that maybe could have shifted is that he's putting a little bit more effort in aside from just the basics. So he did plan this date. As Jasmine said later on, she does wish that it was earlier and there was more action. So make her feel like a wife and that she's wanted. Put some effort. So the date was cute. I enjoyed that scene with them.
It was a cute date. It was. Remember Olajuwon and Katina's gondola? That's what I thought of when they went kayaking.
Oh man, that was a season. I feel like we reference Boston a lot.
It was a very entertaining season for sure. Okay, so Clint and Gina. Yeah, I told you when he said he was blindsided that it wasn't about Mac, it was about Gina and what she said. I hated to see him that way. So the first scene is him like reflecting on what she had said the night before, and you could tell like he was so hurt by it, by the adjectives that she decided to use to describe him, and understandably so. I hated that when they went to the horse thing, she said something about, oh yeah, he has maturing to do, and she was the one who had to like tell him the truth. And I was like, Gina, stop. This is a grown man. He's mature. He just likes to have fun differently than you like to have fun. And that does not read immature. It just reads different from you. So I hated that she said that.
Yeah, you mentioned last week that she's very unaware of how she's presenting herself and just the whole thing. I would be more understanding if there was something that happened or he did something. And then there was a need for her to call him out on his behavior or something he said. I would be more understanding of that. And I felt for him because I could just see his mind racing and him evaluating the person that he is.
Yeah, he's so like sensitive, you know.
It's okay if he's not for you. But the things that she was saying, it's like, wow, am I a bad person or should I be different? No, be who you are. It'd be one thing if he said or did something to her, but it just didn't warrant all of what she said and what she did.
And then go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. Even when she apologized, it was like, well, sorry if I made you feel bad.
That part got on my nerves because I like how he brought it up. He's like, last night, the things that you said, it was so calm and you could tell like he wasn't lashing out. He was just presenting the information and saying how he felt. But when somebody says you hurt them with the words that you said, you don't go and repeat those words. So he literally said, hey, when you said that I'm bizarre, it hurt my feelings. And then she goes, but Clint, you are bizarre. You are outrageous. Girl, what are you even going to apologize for? Like you just doubled down on the statement that I said hurt me and then had the audacity to be like, sorry if I made you feel bad. No, it's been established. You did make him feel bad.
Girl, your behavior in that scene.
Right. It's bizarre and outrageous. And then she was like, I don't think I said those words. And of course the editors were going to run it back. They're like, she said wild, outrageous, bizarre. I think the only thing that she didn't say was odd. And that's what he thought, you know, like one of the things that he thought. But synonyms,
Same. Yeah.
right?
And kudos to him because I would have shown up with a whole attitude.
Period.
And that just shows, I think, more about his character
Yes.
and the type of person that he is, that you're still willing to show up and put your best foot forward. You're not going to ruin everyone's day. But I also think that's what can put a battery in people like Gina's back, where they kind of know how people might respond or not call them,
Yeah.
out on their mess. Or it's like he's taken the higher road, even going back to the honeymoon when he was willing to apologize and she just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. And in that like picnic, she described his whole personality as negative. Like I didn't write down verbatim what she said, but she said all these things about his personality, and she didn't say them in a positive way. And then she had the audacity to say something about him, like, you know, being drunk. And I like that he responded to that and said, well, in certain circumstances, like it's his birthday. If he wants to act differently, let him act differently. Like it's a celebration, you know. He can drink a little bit more amongst friends in a cabin, you know. Like, so I think she's just way more uptight, and so she reads all that he is as negative, and it's
mhm.
just, again, it's just different from how she is.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I don't even know if there's anything else to say.
Yeah,
I don't
justice.
want to drag her.
Yeah. Okay. Let's end with Kirsten and Shaq, and then we could go into the group session.
Mm,
I feel like this was a really not short episode, but uneventful episode. Like they should have
mhm.
just made decision day last night, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So Shaq and Kirsten went to the studio session, and I just couldn't take it seriously. Like from the beginning where they were expressing their feelings, and then you just have this woman randomly like sing sing their feelings back to them, to the part where Kirsten went to lay down the track. Girl, the whole thing was just hilarious to me. I could not take it seriously for anything. And I was surprised that Shaq sat there with a straight face during her like singing part.
I couldn't really read his energy. I was like, I don't know if he was joking. He was like, "Oh, girl, you really in your element." Was he
Right.
being serious? I'm like, "Oh, can she sing?"
Right. And then she sang. And I was like, is this a joke? Like, I don't understand.
Oh, Lord. Yeah,
Uh,
production. Yeah, they're a fool for that one.
they're a mess. Uh,
Uh,
okay. And I guess it's Nashville, so I don't want to talk about how the song sounded, but not my cup of tea is what I'll say. Okay, so he said he doesn't feel secure, which I don't know. I can understand her frustration because she asked, well, what security are you needing? Other than the family piece, what security are you needing? And of course he brings up the support thing. And it's been like 2 weeks now, Shaq. I'm sorry. You gotta, are we moving forward or are we staying in 2 weeks ago?
yeah. Uh, yeah. If it's, I would understand if something else had happened. She heard you. Now give her a chance to drop the ball again.
Yes.
But it's almost like he doesn't want to. It's like, nope, you did it.
Right. Okay. Right.
And for me, if you aren't able to let something
So
as simple
small.
as this, she didn't miss your graduation or a person close to you funeral. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just, it feels very nitpicky. Just,
Yeah.
you got your claws in something and you're not going to let it go. And I feel that she's handling it in a good way. Because a lot of people will be like, look, all right,
I didn't apologize.
said what I said. And
Right.
even his energy, I don't know. He just, he doesn't feel secure, but the energy he gives doesn't seem to make her feel secure either. Neither
I,
one of y'all feel secure.
I wouldn't feel secure if he was giving me the energy he's giving her at
He's
all.
just like, yeah, basically you're not doing this, this, and this, and I don't know. That's not what he said, but that's the
That's the
energy I'm
vibe.
getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might as well have said that. It would have been better if he would have just said that.
Even the way he was sitting, I don't know.
Yeah.
This all the scenes of them the last few weeks, it just feels like, oh, I'm here. And once I saw the footage of how he's been coming in the house, and
That changed it up for you. You know, another thing, well, yeah. So not the house footage, but I was gonna say he probably could just be over the whole production of it too. Because he said something in the guys meetup later that we'll get
Mhm.
to, that hinted towards that for me. Like, okay, I kind of just want all of this to be over so we can get to the meat and potatoes of us. So that could be a thing.
One thing that she said, I think it was at the song creation studio,
Mhm.
was that she really enjoyed seeing Shaq smile and seem into her.
Yeah. Yeah. Which he didn't even smile much from what we saw. So you could tell like she's holding on to the tiniest of things.
Mhm. Like, oh, he is into me, or he is into this.
Yeah. And
So
you
what that
shouldn't
tells
have to
me,
question. Yeah.
it his energy the other time is not
Yeah.
that.
At
And I'm able to pick up on it. And you're right, maybe it's the fact that the cameras are there and he's just over it. But
that's not an excuse. You still have to be into your life.
and then in that same scene,
Mhm.
she finally says, okay, my dad doesn't want to film.
Yeah.
Now, part of me is, okay, why not have communicated that to Shaq earlier? But then if she would have said that, then he would have said, okay, well, let me just meet him off camera. Something about her energy later told me that she was very nervous about Shaq meeting her dad, and it was more of her than maybe the dad, and not filming, and maybe she wasn't feeling secure, and that's why she didn't want them to meet.
I feel like, and people in the comments, I think said this last week too, but I feel like that's been a part of it the entire time. But dang it, what was I gonna say? I feel
Then why not just say that?
oh, I felt like he probably knew about the filming thing because when she said it in this episode, it was like, well, you know, my dad doesn't want to film. So maybe that
Mhm.
was our first time hearing her say it to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I read it, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, you could be right.
But the next thing that we saw was that the experts were coming. Of course, they were going to dress down, so they looked cute. They weren't
Mhm.
like matching this time, but they still looked really cute.
Mhm.
And then they revealed that he met her dad this episode
He
or
did.
this whatever. And so I thought that was huge. And
Mhm.
okay, I was talking about how huge it was, but also when they were sitting down with Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, and he goes, "Yeah, I just wish it would have happened sooner. Let that go."
He
Like
not.
Dr. Pepper said, you met her dad. Families operate differently. You wanted this, and she delivered. All of that, it should have happened sooner. It needs to be out the door. Like there's this lady who I used to watch on here. She does Married at First Sight reviews. She was like, these people need to learn how to be married. And that's exactly what I thought about with like Shaq, because you can't hold
Yeah.
on to stuff from like weeks ago, or you say what your need is, the person like delivers, albeit some time later, but they deliver, and then you still want to be like, oh well, you have this on your record that it took so long, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're committed to being mad.
Right.
Well, if you committed, I'm gonna let you stay there. After a while, yeah, it's just, it's, do you want her to be perfect? He's not perfect.
At all.
And it seems like when he does something and she corrects him, she moves on.
She does. Yeah.
He's not keeping that same energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't
But
know how that's gonna work.
it seems like the dad and him like kicked it off?
Hit it off.
Hit it off, thank you. It was some violent action. They hit it off, and they said, you know, like, oh, we could grab a beer or whatever. Like they
Mhm.
could actually hang. So hopefully that gives him the comfort that he needs moving forward.
Yeah, family seems to be huge for him, and but even with meeting the dad, I think he's holding on to the fact that it took so long.
Hmm.
and he's still questioning it. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. But he said, see, why couldn't it have happened sooner? Mm,
Right. Like that, honestly, if I were Kirsten, that would just make me not ever want to do anything for you ever again. Like, I did it and now you still have something to say. Like,
in that scene on the porch of the song creation studio,
mhm.
she was sitting there and saying, like, well, you have to choose to believe me. You
Yeah.
have to have hope. You have to believe me. And he was just kind of like, oh, we'll see. It's almost as if she's in this position of having to prove herself, prove herself,
Yeah.
prove herself. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he would appreciate if that energy was reciprocated.
It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know? So
Yeah.
I
Will it
don't
ever be enough?
probably not. So
Yeah.
I don't know that they again, if they say yes, they just need therapy and
Yeah.
lots of it. Like within the first 2 years, I think. Just
Yeah.
regularly see a therapist, but they have a lot to work on. Okay. So the girl and guy meetups.
Mm, mm.
Airris said, "My name is Bennett and I ain't in it." He said, "I'm not about to say nothing about Mac because, that has nothing to do with me."
I was kind of hoping it did come up though.
Not you hoping for mess.
I was like, oh, maybe someone else will bring it up.
It's too funny. Okay, so we could talk about the guys meetup person then.
Mm-hmm.
So Shaq seems to be in love with her dad. And I don't know if he had a father figure growing up. He
I
was
don't think so.
okay because he seemed really like interested in leaning more into her dad. Like, oh, he could be a father figure for me. And that's something that he seems
Mm-hmm.
very interested in. What
Which
surprised? Mhm.
which I'll say I think is sweet, but I don't know. It's one of those things when you marry into a family, you have to go in it, observe, see what it is, give it more time before you
Yeah.
start setting these expectations.
Uh,
And the way that he was responding to her family dynamics maybe being different, it's just you may be setting yourself up for disappointment,
yeah.
as well as I think just also understanding and respecting boundaries when you're new into a family. It's like you're going to be putting this man on a pedestal, and I don't know, it's like get in, scope the scene more,
Yeah.
and if it can be that, great, but if it's not, this is still your wife.
This is not your dad. As especially at this point, like maybe it'll grow into that, but this is not your dad. And so,
And with in-laws, just like with family, but I think it's even worse, where it's like things could change. You could be chummy in the beginning and then things go sour. The grace isn't as wide when it comes to family that's married in. And then the opposite, you could start off rocky and then 5 years in, you're the best of pals. So I don't know. Even if it doesn't work with her, whoever family he may marry into,
yeah,
I
just
just want
hold
him
your
to,
horses a little bit.
yeah, take it
Yeah,
slow.
no, absolutely. It surprised me when Clint asked, "Oh, do you have fun together?" That was when he responded, "Maybe outside of this, we could have more fun." I was surprised by that because, like I've said all season, their dates look like the most fun. They look like they're enjoying each other's time. Like,
I wasn't surprised by the answer he gave. Given
okay,
the energy we've seen, I think the dates on camera are fun, but what are their interactions,
okay, outside,
outside of that? Her idea of fun may be having these super long, deep conversations, and he's tired, and his idea of fun is maybe going to brunch, and their schedules just can't align because she's a realtor. Like,
hmm
so I wasn't as surprised when he was just like, it hasn't really been fun like that, or his version of fun.
yeah. But he said once the cameras go away, maybe like he thinks they have potential to have fun. He didn't sound too sure to me.
Mm-mm.
He did say when Clint asked, "Do you see yourself being single again, or do you want to be single again?" He's like, "I enjoy sleeping next to somebody and waking up next to someone in the morning when she's like, 'Good morning' to me. Like, I like having that." And so I don't know what it's gonna be with these two long term. I think they probably will say yes on decision day. but I don't know about this working out long term. If they say yes, of course I want them to work because they're a married couple and I hope that they can figure things out, but I don't know.
Yeah. And then what did Airris say? Like, I'm a yes and no for being
For being
single.
single.
And see, Jasmine, this is why you need to say no.
You know what I did like? I loved how he talked about Jasmine's passion.
Mhm.
He said she's so passionate about all the things that she's doing, and she has a lot on space, on her plate, but she still took the time to create a comfortable space. I'm like, Jasmine's a wife. Somebody, somebody wife her up, and not that guy who was trying to talk to her at the meetup.
Oh
But someone
gosh.
needs to wife her up because that's what you look for. That's what I look for in like friends and
Hmm.
others, like someone who can create a comfortable space for me to reside in. Even if it's not like a physical space, just like the relationship itself being a space. So like Jasmine better get picked up soon.
Yeah. It seems for them, it's like he's having these light bulb moments too late.
Yeah. Way too late.
Yeah, it's like he's just learning what intimacy is.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's too late.
And if it's taking him 2 months to learn this stuff, like imagine all the stuff he has to learn that's going to take longer. And sometimes I would say be patient and wait for the person. But in this case, I don't think it's worthwhile for Jasmine. Like I think she could
Mhm.
invest all that time and he still might just be a fraction of what she deserves.
Agreed.
Okay. So the girl meetup. Do you have anything else for the guys meetup?
Um, mm, 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 mm. No, other than Chris
Okay.
saying that, Nicole was constantly asking if he'll say yes, and
Mhm.
he was just kind of over it. I
No
mean,
surprise there.
yeah, no surprise. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
All right. So to the
Oh, Clint did say that he wanted Nicole and Chris to have their first fight. I don't
Oh,
think it
yes,
will
yes,
be
yes.
eventful.
No.
Because Chris, I don't think is a fighter. Even the way that he's observed her competitiveness, and he's just
Yeah.
like, all right, you can have it. I don't see him matching her energy, going back and forth. And as far as her, I think she's containing herself.
Okay. So even if he's not a fighter, I would I still think there could be a fight without him being a fighter, like it just would
Mhm.
look different. Like it won't look like, oh, I'm about to sit here and go back and forth with you. It
Yeah.
might look like, listen, I'm not about to go back and forth with you. You could come at me when you've calmed down a little bit. And then, when they're both calm, hey, I didn't like how you addressed that. And that's not acceptable for me. How can we change? I can still see a fight happening without him being, or without him seeming like, because we all know
Yeah.
what he is, a fighter.
Yeah, and that could impact her energy too. It's like, oh, do you want to be the only one? Rah, rah. It's like maybe her energy wouldn't be as high
Hmm.
being met with someone who's more calm. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was it.
So the girls meet up. Nicole says she thinks Shaq and Kirsten have something special. With I do think there's potential there, so I agree with her. But also, anyway,
Nicole thinks she's the resident
yeah.
therapist. It's just she goes on these monologues. I think because she's in the position of her relationship isn't too eventful right now. So when she was talking, honestly, I just kind of tuned out. I didn't hear much. I was just like, I think I was playing on my phone.
Okay, so they talked about the Airris pole dance thing, and that being something that they thought he would be interested in. I love that Jasmine is saying, "Okay, those words aren't actions." I'm so proud of how far she's come this season.
Hmm.
So hopefully she says no on decision day. But I like that she is thinking about herself. She's like, I can't think about what Eris is gonna do. I need to make the best decision for myself. And shout out to her. I hope it works. I hope she does what she needs to.
Yeah. So when she was saying that, though, part of me was like, oh, I hope that this isn't a situation where she may end up saying yes. Like, where, I don't know, just when she was talking, it wasn't a solid no for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was just like when she was like, "Oh, well, I can't be worried about what he's gonna do." It's like, okay, girl, but we still need you to say no.
So you interpreted that as, okay, if I want to say yes, then I should just say yes and not worry about his no.
Yes.
Ah, okay. That's not how I interpreted it. I
I
interpreted
hope I'm wrong.
I
God.
do too. I do too.
I hope I'm wrong. And yeah, because I wish she would have just left it at, hey, we haven't made enough progress, so more work would have to be done.
Mhm.
Because he was saying that he's at peace with his answer. I already know what I'm gonna say.
Right.
She's on seemingly like, yes, she's gonna do what's best for her, but it's almost as if she's on the fence.
Oh no, okay. So when
Because I think the way she is setting it up, I think she's willing to give it time beyond decision day.
I don't see that.
Oh, I hope I'm wrong.
I
Oh,
do too. Okay. Let us know in the comments how you guys interpreted that whole, well, words aren't actions. I'm gonna do what's best for me. You got me a little scared.
yeah,
Sorry.
but then she follows it up and says, well, I can't be worried about what he's going to do. I wish it was flipped. I wish she was saying, like, oh, I already know what I'm gonna say.
That would scare me.
Really? Oh gosh.
If she was sounding sure, because with her,
I
I just
sure know. Like, I wish she would have said, oh, there's still a lot of work to be done. There hasn't been much action. I'm gonna do what's best for me, and I already know what I'm gonna say.
but she
But
did say he would have to show me a lot with the time we have left. And they only have like one day.
mm, all right, I hope I'm wrong.
Okay.
I see both of them saying yes. I see Airris saying yes.
I don't see that at all.
No.
I think he's been like friendly to her, but I think he understands this is not what I want, or this might be what I want, but it's not the person I want it with.
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong.
And I think she's probably going to change. I think this experience, hopefully, will change how he moves after this in the long run. Maybe short term, he might go back to the streets. But I think in the long run, he's going to see himself as, okay, I need to like settle down. Because Eris has his like career and like home and all of that stuff together from what we've seen. It seems like he just needed to get his whole relationship thing together. And I think this process has helped him. I know y'all are going to put in the comments, girl, don't believe anything Aaron says. I don't believe a word he says or whatever. But I think and I hope that this process like makes him act different.
Well, at this point, I can only hope that they let him go first.
Oh, please, yes.
Do not play Jasmine like that. If he
Oh,
says yes, I
uh-huh.
hope she says no. If he says no, then she could just say no. Okay. Let's get to the guys.
Yes. So this group of guys, they come up. First of all, I'm okay. Nicole was so awkward. She's like, well, we are celebrating being married now, but a few of us might not be. And when she said a few of us, I figured she meant Jasmine and Gina,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just me. But they're like, oh, a few. And when the guy
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I breed dogs, and Nicole made that introduction, if that would have been Kirsten saying I breed dogs, I mean, if that would have been Kirsten who breeds dogs, I don't think she would have made that introduction. So all of those
Mm-hmm.
things got me feeling like Jasmine's headed towards no.
Mm.
But yes, the guys come up, they were eating Chris up. they were they were eating Chris up. They're like, oh yeah, you wear the pants, so he's a beta man. I hate when men do that whole alpha beta thing.
That, and if he was there in person, you wouldn't be saying anything.
You would be very mute. You wouldn't even have come over.
No, that whole scene was a struggle.
I didn't like that crew of men at all.
Mm-mm.
And so I like that Kirsten took up for Nicole because when they were saying like, oh, he's a strong beta man or whatever, and she's like, y'all better leave Nicole alone. I'm like, yes, girl, take up for your friend. Take up for your friend. Okay, so the guy who breeds dogs. That okay. Maybe people are gonna think I'm taking this too far, but when she was over there doing her like interview and he
Mm-hmm.
comes up, it it felt like harassment.
She was very uncomfortable. She was just like,
Obviously, even when they said he was coming over, she was like, "No, he is not." She's so classy, but yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, the 740. I don't know. Was that the number he said? I don't know anything
yeah,
about
the
cars.
740 outside.
Outside.
You
Oh,
just,
you fixing your necklace? I'll fix that for you later. No, you're not. Like I hate. Ah, I
it
was
was
so.
giving creepy, come to my car vibe. Just like the conversation you have with your kids, like, don't talk to strangers.
Why would you assume that I would even let you put your hands on me? It was just very like the whole thing was a cringeworthy moment. I hated having to observe it. She looked uncomfortable. I just wanted to like come and take her out of there. They didn't show us how it ended, but yeah.
She was just laughing, kind of like looking around, like, anybody, somebody, come help
Right.
me, come
Help
save
me.
me, get this man away from me. And it started off a decent conversation talking about the dogs. That's why you just never know. Creepers hide in plain sight.
I mean,
I
yeah,
know he could pick up on her energy.
if like she said that he was a boxer, or he said he was a boxer, and she's like, "Oh, you fight." So I felt like if he weren't such a creep, maybe I wouldn't have been. If I were her, I wouldn't give him my number because she's a married woman. But if he wanted to give me his, and I kept it until after decision day.
And who in their right mind would meet someone and they're inside, everyone's talking, it's fine. And then they're like, hey, you want to come outside and see my car? Why, why would I do that?
It's people thinking that material things sway. Like your whole nothing about you is making me interested in you. But you just swear that the car is something I should be like falling head over heels in love with, or like the car is his entire personality.
And then they feel away when it's like, oh, they want me for my money. They want me for what I have. Well, you're leading with the type of car you.
With this trash personality, no offense. Actually, I don't even know how that could not be offensive. But with this personality that's lackluster, and the
It
whole
was
thing
too much.
it
It
was
was
too much.
even Kirsten, when she was talking to the guy, she just looked so uninterested, just like,
He's like, oh,
yeah.
you like being a playboy? Well, how do you know I'm a playboy? And he's like, I can be focused. So you're a focused man. And he
Mhm.
goes, what are you focused on? My husband, like my man, who's
She
not giving
said,
me all the attention right now, but he's way better than you. So
gosh, and this is what the single streets is like
okay, listen,
in Nashville.
that alone will force people. Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal must have set that up so that all the women said.
Had to, had to.
It was a
Mm-mm.
scheme. Have you seen a Real Housewives when her aunt is like, it was a scheme set up by Todd? Have you seen that? That's how I felt about this moment.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely production.
So
Oh, mm-mm.
awkward. All right. That's all that I have.
Do we want to give our predictions? This is the
Okay.
last one, and don't be a fence sitter.
I says the most fence sitting person in the world. Don't be a fence sitter. Okay.
Uh,
I believe Chris and Nicole will say yes.
agreed.
I think Shaq and Kirsten will say yes. I
I
think
think Shaq will say no.
okay. Okay. I
Either he'll say no or they just gonna break up after the fact. But I'm gonna stay with, I think he's gonna say no.
okay. I could see, although I don't want it, I could see them saying yes on decision day and then by the reunion having some issues. So maybe
Mhm.
separating by the reunion. I don't want this, but I see them saying yes. Clint and Gina, I hope Clint goes first and says no. But they'll both say no regardless.
Yeah.
And then with Jasmine and Airris, I believe they're both gonna say no.
I think he is gonna say no. And I think she might say yes.
Don't let this be like the Boston season where we were like no's across the board except for Steve and Noy. And then
they are. I could see it being that way. I could see them all saying yes. After that,
Clint is not saying yes.
Well, yeah, except for Clint and Gina. They'll both say no. But I could see the rest of them saying yes. And then it just not lasting. So yeah, I'll tell us. What are y'all's predictions?
We want to know. We want to know. And we will be back next week for the season finale. Well, no, not the season finale, for Decision Day.
Yeah. Decision Day Part 1. They'll probably split it up.
If they do, that is so petty and unnecessary. But we have a new podcast episode coming out tomorrow. I think this is the one where we're talking about women proposing to men. So
yes.
Definitely watch that. It comes out on Friday morning. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.